Hey, it's Brian, brain-based performance coach from Strong Tower Training, and I'm back with a little info on sciatic, and not just a little info, but some pretty important info about your sciatic symptoms if you've had them or have them, and the root cause. So what do we want to get to is, of course, the root cause of an issue, because then we get a longer term fix and maybe get to enjoy life a little bit more, and we get to do a little bit more efficient work if we're talking about retraining the nervous system and improving stuff, which we are often talking about retraining the nervous system if you followed us for a while. So the root cause often of sciatic symptoms is the inner ear. So bear with me, because I know that seems like a long ways from your low back or your hips, and people are like, oh man, it's, the sciatic symptom that goes down the back of my leg, it's my hamstring, it's my glute, it's my low back, so I gotta stretch and ice and maybe do massage for all that stuff, maybe some physical therapy stretches and stuff like that. Awesome, those might help and they might provide long-term relief, but usually it's temporary relief because we're not addressing the root cause. So I'll explain. This is why your inner ear is so important. Your inner ear is what helps you relate to gravity. It's basically what helps you stand up. All your anti-gravity muscles, especially on your backside where the sciatic symptoms typically are, those muscles on the backside help us stand up, and they're anti-gravity. They help us resist gravity. So that's kind of number one. Number two, your inner ear senses your head position in space. So if you tilt it, or you tilt it and move up and down, or you rotate it, you're getting 1,000,000 signals per second in each inner ear talking to your brainstem, telling you you changed your head position and this way is still up. And if you lose any stimulus on one inner ear or the other, it can mess with your sense of balance, your sense of relationship to gravity, and then those anti-gravity muscles can sometimes get a little cranky. One side might get too tight. Often the understimulated inner ear side, the muscles will go, I don't like what's going on. We're gonna get really nice and tight. So good luck. You can stretch us, you can heat us, you can vibrate us, you can do all that cool stuff, and it might get better for 20 minutes, it might get better for an hour or two. If the symptoms come back, guess what? Probably didn't get to the root cause, right? So what I'm gonna give you today is just a couple things to try out. Not a big fan of protocols. So protocols like heat, ice, specific back stretches that everybody should do, kind of the cookie cutter protocol approach to sciatic symptoms. You can go look on healthline.com or whatever, find a website, and they'll have all kinds of self-treatments. Go ahead and try it out. All right, but if that's not helping and that's too general for the specific nervous system that you have, your brain and body, which I love helping people get better at understanding their personal nervous system, kind of gives you the keys to the car back, so to speak, so that you get to drive your nervous system and you get to do a better job doing it. So that's what we're gonna work on. This is a little tough to do online, of course, because it almost starts to look like I'm giving you a protocol approach, but I'm gonna do my best not to do that. Okay, so first thing I want you to do is walk a little bit or test out a gentle stretch. Might be a side bend, might be a forward bend. It's gonna vary per person, which again, like getting away from protocols right away, I want you to do a gentle stretch that's pain-free and feels okay to you. If you get right into that edge of pain where it's like, oh, if I go farther, this is the spot where it's gonna hurt. Stop right at that edge or that border, okay? And then we're gonna see if we can make that a little bit better, if we can make the range of motion a little bit better, if we can make the discomfort subside or improve as well. All right, so you test that out, whatever it is for you. I don't wanna give you a specific stretch because everybody's different again, and there's some stretches that are gonna feel okay for one person, they're gonna feel terrible for the next person. All right, so not gonna give you a protocol right off the bat. The second thing I want you to do, we are gonna test the inner ear a little bit. So we're gonna give it some healthy stimulus. What I want you to do is tilt your head maybe like 20 degrees, not a big head tilt. So I'm not going for broke here. I'm not doing a big range of motion check, just a slight head tilt. Okay, so 20 degrees or so. I'm gonna start with a right head tilt. And then what I want you to do is holding onto a wall if necessary. If you feel any unbalance here, any imbalance sensation, hold on to a wall, please. And then from there, we're just gonna bounce up and down on the ball of foot. So my ankles are kind of doing this oscillating motion, going up and down. And I'm providing my right inner ear a little more stimulus in this case, an area called the saccule, and also a little bit in the utricle. So with that, just gonna go 20 seconds or so. Remember to breathe and relax as you do that. Then retest. So whatever your gentle stretch was, I want you to repeat that a second. Or maybe it was walking. Okay, so if walking was uncomfortable and now it's better, that right head tilt was a win for you. So you should do more of that. 20 seconds or so sprinkled in throughout your day. Anytime your back's uncomfortable, anytime you get some of the nervy symptoms down the back of the leg, those drills that help should be practiced more often, because again, think about what we're not necessarily fighting against, but what we're dealing with here is 1 million signals per second in the inner ear. And if there is an imbalance there, where one firing rate is higher, you're constantly getting those 1 million signals per second, right? So that's why some of those other protocols that we talked about, those approaches, can be temporary as far as the relief that they give, because your brain is going to go back to, after a few minutes, few hours, whatever it is, to that 1 million signals per second. And if the firing rate's off, guess what? It's going to create the same muscle tension, and potentially that muscle tension is going to pull on the nerve or pinch on the nerve, same nervy symptoms. So what we're trying to do again is get to the root and help you with an exercise or two that's going to help you move forward and move away from sciatic symptoms, away from postural and muscle imbalances in the back and the hips. Next one, if that didn't help, so if you're in the category right now of right head tilt bouncing was not awesome for me, Brian, I'm sorry. We're gonna go to the other side of the inner ear, and this might be, if we have an imbalance going on right to left inner ear, this would probably be the side that then may help. So we're gonna tilt the head to the other direction. If you had a win already with the first one, you may not need to do this. You can test it out for yourself, because you can always go back to the first one and bounce again and kind of fix it. But we'll go to the other head tilt if that wasn't you, if you didn't have a big home run already, and then we're gonna bounce again. So arms are relaxed. This left head tilt for me personally tends to be awesome. So I get really good performance type responses. I feel better, jump higher, feel stronger, better balance when I work on this side. So that's just me, and everybody's different. Again, that's why we're testing this stuff out, because you should be able to test and retest your own nervous system so that you do what works well for you, not for Brian, not for Judy, not for anybody else. Okay, so from there, we're gonna come back to rest, breathe, and then retest. So you can go back to walking if that was your assessment. You can go back to a gentle stretch, whatever that was. And if you're finding some relief now, that last exercise that we just did with the most recent head tilt and bouncing would be your home run or your take home, the one to keep coming back to. Sprinkle it in for 20 seconds. Doesn't have to be a ton of stimulus, but we do want to remind the brain that we're going to help it correct that imbalance throughout the day and then day to day over time. We're actually stacking 20 seconds on 20 seconds, and over time you're going to get a lot of stimulus to help correct, if there is an imbalance in the inner ear, correct that asymmetry. And your brain wants to be balanced, your brainstem wants to be balanced on an activation side. So sometimes we need to activate one side and inhibit the other, which in this case we are activating that one side you're tilting towards and a little bit inhibiting the opposite inner ear. So that's a good exercise for a lot of people, especially if we can make it side specific to what you need more of. Then last one today, I want you to try out, if neither of those helped, we can work on the canals in the inner ear a little bit. So we're doing a little tidbit of vestibular training or inner ear and what's available. If you want more, if you're like, hey, this stuff is awesome, and I want to test my other 6 canals and make sure that I'm covering kind of the gamut of what there is potentially in inner ear and balance training, please reach out. We'd love to talk to you about that. This next drill, we're going to put your thumb out in front of you. We're going to stare at that thumb. I want you to not take your eyes off the thumb for this whole exercise. So eyes are forward on the thumb, and then we're going to shake your head side to side. You might think, okay, I'm shaking my head, I'm breathing, I'm staring at that thumbnail to keep it in focus, and it seems like I'm shaking my head like, hey, Brian, I don't quite understand what this inner ear stuff has to do with my muscle tone yet, but I'm willing to try it out, because I get what you're saying about temporary relief, all that other stuff, getting in the hot tub, massage. It's only lasting for a little bit. It's not providing a long-term solution or fix for me. So that side-to-side head motion, we're stimulating your right and your left horizontal canals in your inner ear. Okay, so kind of cool. With that one, let's go ahead and retest your gentle stretch. or you could go for a walk. Whatever you used as your pre-assessment, go ahead and reassess. And I hope of the drills that we covered so far today, you had a big win, kind of like a wow moment, and a good take-home exercise that you can come back to and keep practicing. So please do practice it, because it's actually gonna not just help potentially with sciatica, but it can help other things like your balance, your hand-eye coordination, your cognition. Really important stuff is connected to our vestibular function. So it can not just help your brainstem and that little area of the brainstem called the pons that we're primarily activating here, but that connects to other areas of the brain, and it can have some other cool effects and changes if you practice. So do practice. If this helped, please drop a comment, let us know. If you want more of this type of stuff, more in depth, please let us know that too. And then remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.